going to cross that part about giving me money. Wow. So when I preach, and I don't know that I call this preaching, but there's a little bit of preaching in it. Exhortation, wanting, what are my concerns at this time in my life? My concern is, well, for everybody, all the prayers that were lifted up today, for all the people suffering with ailments, people who's with broken hearts, but especially in my life these days is just praying for and concerned about the future of my grandchildren, my children, those who come before us in this very crazy world, this broken world. We're speaking of war this morning, and it's ironic that for this war to end, then maybe we have to put more weapons into it to neutralize. What we want is peace.
Amen.
We want everybody to lay down their arms, beat them into plowshares. But this is not the way of the world. So what I wanted to talk about today, and I'll give you maybe the messages in case you don't get it from all the stuff I say. One is kids, but everybody, no matter how old you are, seek after God, seek truth, seek wisdom. This is what we have to do because this is what we need. We need strength, of course we need health, but we need wisdom, we need God. And then I want to say, just part of this is going to be how I came to be, a Christian. I've been challenged, or are you a Christian, or what do you believe? What's your doctrine? But I am in the Christian church. I'm in the Christian fold. It's kind of a vast and big thing, but I am here. And so, I have a few things written. I didn't quite get it all together, so hopefully in all the things that I have to say and read that we'll get, something will come through. Going back to camp, and when Ian was speaking, what are we doing here? Why are we here? This is, and what do we need to get through? Let's see here, if I can find. So I'm going to start with Proverbs. So I have things from Proverbs, from the let's just put from the Old Testament and the New Testament, and it seems that they're saying the same thing. So Proverbs 8. Oh, that's not how I want to start. Did I get all my pages? Yeah, a little metaphor. So, what are we doing and where are we going? Modern technology has given us GPS. We can get almost anywhere in the world just by putting on this this GPS. We get there efficiently and directly, but how do we make our way in and through this world and arrive safely at the end of our lives where we want to hear, "Well done, good and faithful servant"? What do we need to make this perilous journey safely? We need wisdom, and we need the wisdom that comes from God. So first, wisdom's call, Proverbs 8. I'm not going to read all of it, but some of it. Does not wisdom call out? Does not understanding raise her voice? At the highest point along the way, where the paths meet, she takes her stand. Beside the gate leading into the city, at the entrance, she cries aloud, to you, O people, I call out. I raise my voice to all mankind. You who are simple, gain prudence. You who are foolish, set your hearts on it. Listen, for I have trustworthy things to say. I open my lips to speak what is right. My mouth speaks what is true. All the words of my mouth are just. None of them are crooked or perverse. And then this is the chapter about is personified wisdom. So then wisdom speaks. I, wisdom, dwell together with prudence. I possess knowledge and discretion. To fear the Lord is to hate evil, and I want to talk about the fear of the Lord. I hate pride and arrogance, evil behavior and perverse speech. Counsel and sound judgment are mine. I have insight, I have power. By me kings reign, and rulers issue decrees that are just. I walk in the way of righteousness, but then we get to the end of the matter. I was there when he set the heavens in place. Before the world was made, or its fields, or any of the dust of the earth, when he marked out the horizons on the face of the deep. And it goes on about all the ways that God created. I need to raise this up. Then I was continuously at his side. I was filled with delight day after day, rejoicing always in his presence. I was filled with delight day after day, rejoicing always in his presence, rejoicing in his whole world, and delighting in mankind. Now then, my children, listen to me. Blessed are those who keep my ways. Listen to my instruction and be wise. Do not disregard it. Blessed are those who listen to me, watching daily at my doors, waiting at my doorway. For those who find me find life and receive favor from the Lord, but those who fail to find me harm themselves. So that is the call of wisdom. And then, let's go to the parable of the talents that was spoken about this morning. Which one is that? So these are the words of Jesus. Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. Amen. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against the house. Yet it did not fall because it had its foundation on the rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on sand. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against the house, and it fell with a great crash. So these are the words of Jesus. They're exactly what wisdom in Proverbs was saying. Those who do not listen to me, do not follow in my way, bad things are going to come to you. So you have the Old Testament, you have the New Testament. And so what I wanted to say is, so then I have another verse. And when I read the Bible, which I should do more, but when I read it, so you can read it but it depends on what's inside of you at the time, what's going on in your mind. Maybe sometimes you read it and nothing makes it, this doesn't speak to me. This is, I'm not there. Other times things will leap out at you, and there are truths, deep, deep truths in there. And so, here's one that came to me. Well, we probably all know that at the beginning of Proverbs it says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction." So I wanted to say something about the fear of the Lord. And even from that first, well, when I was reading about personified wisdom, and wisdom was with God, it was in everything from the beginning. But doesn't that also sound like in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God?
Yeah.
So you have the Old Testament, the wisdom, the New Testament, really saying the same thing. What is the fear of the Lord? So it's not the fear of a punishing and angry God. What it is that if you understand that there's a physical world that God made, and if you defy the physical laws,
Yep. Amen.
if you fall off a cliff,
Amen. Yep.
you're hurt, maybe you die. But there are spiritual laws that are built in to the universe, that are built into us. And when we break those laws, we bring suffering on ourselves, and we bring suffering into the world. Mm-hmm. And so the fear of God is not knowing that if I do the wrong thing that my heart tells me, or that I understand, if I break these rules, then bad things will happen. It's not that God is punishing me. It's not a punishment. It's the way it's made, that you're not to do certain things. We have the 10 Commandments. Again, Old Testament. We need to live by those commandments. So that is the fear of God, and why it's important to honor God in that way. And it's not really a fear. It's it's greater than that. But there's a wisdom in that. It's not going against what is true. And so there's another verse that came out to me, and it is Proverbs. Let's see, I got all these papers. 9:10, I think, and it says, oh, I know what it says. It says, "The fear of God is the beginning of
That's
wisdom,
right. Yeah.
but knowledge of the holy is understanding."
Yes.
And so it's good to be prudent and have the fear of God, to be cautious. In other words, like Ian was saying, to do the thing, and those who do the things, and when he was talking about building your house on the rock, that we need to do them, that we need to act. But I would also add, we need to look before we leap. We need to know what foundation we're standing on. And but knowledge of the holy is understanding, and that's what I wanted to share from my own personal experience. I attended church as a young person, off and on, and I really enjoyed church. I especially enjoyed the singing. I enjoyed the stories, just like I like literature and these kind of things. But as I found myself as a young man, I had no foundation. None of it made sense to me. And so I was looking in philosophy, in Eastern philosophy, Eastern religion, different searching. I was searching. And I had, I would say I was kind of lost, but I was enjoying it. I was enjoying the search quite a bit. And so then one day, something happened to me, and it's, to describe experiences, or you can't download an experience to somebody, but this is what happened to me. So I was in this search, and this was really a daily thing for me. You know, you could say you're lost, or you're just trying to find your way in the world. And I was saying, well, what do we need to find our way? Spiritual GPS. We need wisdom. We need the guidance of the Holy Spirit. I say that now. I wouldn't have said that at the time. But that's what I'm saying now. We need that. So I was, one day I found myself kind of in an agitated state, my heart and mind just kind of unruly, and this line that I had read, I don't know, it's Ram Dass, or pardon me if people don't like bringing in non-Christian things, but this is my experience. And it was, you have sensed the possibility, but you can't quite surrender. And so I just was in this state, so I just sank back in this chair, and somehow, and again, I spoke, well, in our prayer group, I was saying, there's these things I've experienced, and if I could just go to that state, if I could just go into the silence and just be there, I would do it. But something happened that was kind of beyond my will, because I just, and I don't know how to describe other than to say somehow I let go inside. And then I started, let's see, so I started feeling my heart beating and beating, and I was drawn down into the beat of my heart. And in that, I became aware, images came. You know, when we say I was thinking of this or thinking of that, I wasn't thinking. This was just happening. It just was happening. Images were coming to me of loved ones, of my family. And I realized there was so much unhappiness, so much pain, and what had happened was, so I couldn't understand that, because I, in that moment, was filled with love. It was just in and all around. And I was like, how could this be? How could they be suffering when I have all this love to give them? And then I was shown that they weren't getting that love from me, because all of that love was going inward. And in that, and then I was shown images of myself, of my, when you say your ego or your attachments, my long hair, my music, my this, my that, all these attachments. And as each presented themselves to me, and I saw that these attachments, were self-centered, as each thing presented itself to me, I would go, no, I don't need that. That's repentance. No, no, I don't need that. Because I had everything that I needed, and it was pouring out. And it was sacred and holy. And so, inside myself, I said, oh, that's what sin is. Because my problem with the Christian world was, I was a nice guy. I wasn't a jerk kind of a guy, you know. It was those other people. It's the bad people that, you know, the jerks, the whatever. But then I saw, no, this was not just me. I intuited, or the Spirit told me, no, this is universal. This is what's wrong with the world. And it started with me. I was broken. It wasn't all those other people. It was me. And that is what brought me back into the Christian world, because I was a sinner. Now, I had rejected that, but it had to be shown to me. And what did it mean? Sin, and this is controversial in the people talking about sin. Is sin a thing that you do, or is sin a state of being? Where does sin come from? Because it comes out of the heart, the sinful heart. Where do all of these things come from? So you can say, so we can discipline ourselves, and even with the fear of God, to avoid sinning, to do this and that, to have self-control over our actions and do no harm. But there's a deeper thing that we deal with, and that is our selfishness. Just that the way we are in this fallen world is, it just goes in. It goes in. What do I want to do? What will I have for lunch? What am I going to do today? The I. And it's hard. And we're all, everybody here, I know, the nice people, we can be nice, but it's hard to break through to see clearly. So I'll give an example too of, my wife wanted practical applications. I don't know if this is an application, but it's an example of our state, and that is, so it's part of spiritual disciplines. So after this experience, and then in further searching, I would do fasting. And so I had a few experiences. One was, it was a liquid fast. I did water fast 7 days. I did liquid fast 7 days. So I came out one morning, 4th or 5th day, and so if you fast, and especially if you drink coffee, you have to go through some withdrawal. You have to, and it's like, oh, this is all miserable. But then you can, even on dieting, if you're, it's hard to start a diet, but once you get into the thing, you're kind of at peace. Your body's not craving the same things. But anyhow, so I went out, and I was just struck by the beauty of the trees. And it was like I'd never seen it before. How could that be? Because it's what you bring to, it's your internal state that allows you to see things. And I heard the tree say inside of me, it was not audible, when you couldn't see it, were we not still beautiful?
Yeah, right.
And I was just stunned by that. It's another thing of a calling to be better, a calling to higher ground, a calling to bring the Spirit in me, to be prepared to see the beauty in the world. We were just reading in a couple of meetings ago, we're doing War and Peace. And in this one description, Tolstoy has Andrei coming in to a situation, and he's so negative because of all the things that have happened, and he sees a tree and he sees these things and it's all negative. Then he sees Natasha and this innocence and her, and he's struck, and on the way out what he sees is completely different than what he saw on the way in, because his inside had changed. And so we find ourselves in this world with all of these things. We find ourselves negative thoughts or struggles and all. So we have to really seek after God and seek to purge out not just the selfishness, but, and actually we don't purge it. That's the thing. What happened to me wasn't something that I did. Yeah. It happened to me. And another time, this is a 7-day fast. On the 4th day, so I went through my withdrawal. This is water only. And I don't think I could do it now. I'd have to start really slow because it's so. So the thing was with fasting and the people I was with is that you don't go around. Oh no, I'm fasting. You see, I'm fasting. You didn't let people know. I actually sat with people for 7 days, and you would just kind of pass your food without. People didn't even know that you hadn't eaten all week. But, and I remember it so well, I was on the 4th day, and I was empty, and I was just exhausted. And we were singing the, is it Jackie DeShannon? What the world needs now is love, sweet love. Yeah. And I was sitting in a van with a bunch of people, just on the floor, not seats, And my heart opened. It just burst open, and energy just flooded into me. And I thought, wow, man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God. But and the lesson was, there are deeper things in us than we know. And they have to be revealed and drawn out sometimes. Mm-hmm. We don't know the greatness that is in us, or that can be in us, that comes from God. So this was, I would say, that was my conversion experience. At least that's, so since then there's been lots more. I think we should search and keep trying to understand more deeply our whole lives until that time when we are not here anymore. Mm-hmm. And it's easy to talk about these kind of things if you're in good health, and it's much harder when you're suffering, when life on a physical level is just miserable. But the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. But the knowledge of the holy is understanding. And this is what we need. Amen. Wisdom that's understanding. And wisdom that is, it's not an intellectual thing. I have one more thing and then I'll finish. It comes from the heart of love. So that knowledge and love and wisdom are all together inside of the human heart. And it's actually the Holy Spirit that brings these things out, that connects the mind with the heart. And this is a problem we have in the world. The mind, the logic, disconnected from the heart. What's the statement? The heart knows what the... I don't know the statement. So I was reading, not reading, I was looking on the computer. Yeah, I have a number of things to say, but I don't have to say them all. So, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the holy, or in some books it says the knowledge of the Holy One. In this, I'm speaking of the knowledge of the holy. Holiness, sacredness came into me. Or the Holy One is Jesus, and then it points to Jesus, and then the things that Jesus is telling us in all his parables. But, we think of Jesus as loving us, and he's, the good shepherd and suffer not the little children. But he has warnings. There are warnings in there. It's kind of on one side is prosperity, and the other side is destruction. Those who hear the words and do them are like a wise man, but those who don't are like one who built their house on the sand, and great was the destruction thereof. So we would do well to heed these things. So I was reading, so it helps. I like reading in a book, but we got these computers, and I go, where's this verse? And I'll put in a couple of words, and boom, it comes out. So it saves a lot of time. And so I was reading, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. And then I read, and it says, AI says, so AI explains it. And I just want you to know, I did not look to AI to explain this to me. This was my premise where I was going to start from, but then I'm looking in there. So it says, AI says, this verse highlights that true wisdom and understanding start with a reverent awe for God, recognizing his holiness and sovereignty. It is not about terror, but a profound respect that leads to a deeper, more practical relationship with God. And
That's good, though, isn't it?
yeah,
That's good, yeah.
and adherence to his will. That is intellectual. The connection with the holy is not intellectual. AI cannot give us what God gives us. And we don't need AI. I'm not saying it's not going to be helpful in this world. Maybe it'll help cure cancer. But on the spiritual level, it can say, I can say to someone, you need to understand God, have a reverent heart, because he's out of blah, blah, blah. And that's all intellectual. And it just goes boom like that. To be embodied, to have the embodiment of the Spirit is knowledge, and it's wisdom, and it's self-knowledge. And in my case, it humbled me. In my case, it showed me no tongue. It's not you're the nice guy and they're the bad ones. It's the old pogo thing. We have met the enemy, and he is us. We've met the enemy, and he is us. And that in the book, John Fowles, A Separate Peace, because of things that had happened, he never learned to hate the enemy, because he had met the true enemy, which was within himself. And so this is where spiritual warfare lies, is in each heart, each one of yours, each one of ours, in this world. And so we need to seek God. We need to seek his holiness. We need to obey his commandments. And I'll finish with, because I got a lot more. But
take your time, Tom. We want to hear you.
so we have
Yeah, absolutely right.
a chicken with 5 chicks. She had 6, but she lost one. My fault. But so she sat on a whole bunch of hens laid in this nest, and she just sat there and sat there. 6 of them hatched. And then I said, so she's in her nest, and I'm like, how are they going to get food? Or they're up there, and there's all these other chickens, and they eat. Anyhow, so I saw her get out. So she had to get out of her nest because she had to get water, and they have to have some. They're up in this nest. And then I saw the rooster attack her, and then another chicken came in to give a little, extra. And I thought, oh my goodness, I got to protect her. Like nature doesn't know how to handle these things. They need us to interfere. And sometimes they do, actually. But this chicken, she fluffed up like this, and then her wings came out like this. And then she's like trying to get away from the rooster and trying to gather the chickens. And it was so deeply moving. And I thought, how often I would have gathered you as a hen gathers her chicks. And to see her in her desperation. And the other thing about him is that, we're like, well, how many are there? Well, there's 6. And I'm like, no, there's only 4. Or there's 3. And then they start coming out of her feathers. They're in there. But her wings went out like this, almost like, and it's like in St. Peter's Square, the arms of the columns are meant to embrace the world. This is the Catholic Church, and I'm not speaking theology here, I'm just saying the beauty of that structure and of that image of the arms of these columns embracing the whole world. But anyhow, I just thought about Jesus with his parables and showing his heart. So he has his warning, but he's also, to read that part, I'm not going to go into it, but it's very sad because he's lamenting, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, how long, how often I would have gathered you to me, but you would not. And now, what's going to happen to you? I can't do anything about that. And that's the other thing about us coming to God. He wants us to come, but sometimes we go, no, we're not going to come. But this is just a thing, and I wanted to encourage everybody in thinking about Jesus. There's you have to go through the whole thing because he's in different places. He's in a place of he's really upset. There's just so much. There's where he announces in Luke his mission. But what I wanted to say about him is, how did he know about it? He clearly had seen a hen with her chicks. You don't just pull that out of the air. That didn't come from like book reading or something. He saw it. Build your house on a rock. He knew construction. He knew fishing. He knew nature. The lilies of the valley, the birds of the field. So this is Jesus as a person. Jesus as God. But Jesus was informed about our world. He was, and all of these things that he says, comes out of nature, comes out of the Spirit. You can hear it reverberate in the Old Testament. And didn't come up with a good ending, but
That's a great ending.
but so I just encourage you all, and it does. Oh, do I have one more? Yeah. So Ecclesiastes. I go back to the Old Testament a lot. This will be the end. So the last book of Ecclesiastes, and this is for the young and the young at heart, because you're as young as you feel. And that's not really true, but kind of. Spiritually, it's true. Remember your Creator in the days of your youth, before the days of trouble come and the years approach, when you will say, I find no pleasure in them. In other words, we're all going to one place in this world. We die. And then we go, hopefully, to heaven. The conclusion of the matter. Not only was the teacher wise, but he also imparted knowledge to the people. He pondered and searched out and set in order many proverbs. The teacher searched to find just the right words, and what he wrote was upright and true. The words of the wise are like goads. Their collected sayings like firmly embedded nails given by one shepherd. Be warned, my son and daughters, of anything in addition to them, of making many books. There is no end, and much study is a weariness of the flesh. Now all has been heard. Hear the conclusion of the matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the duty of all mankind. And this is, I think, very important, for God will bring every deed into judgment, including every hidden thing, whether it is good or whether it is evil.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Tom.